Welcome to Practical Shooting Video Volume 4. Hi, I'm Matt Burkett and this is Kevin Elpers. In this video we're going to help you learn how to shoot faster. We're going to first start out with a grip and stance review, so let's get on to that. We're going to get started with a grip and stance review. So, Kevin, why don't you go into a basic shooting stance here. Now, we've got some problems we're working with. His feet, his right foot's further back than his left foot. So, we're going to take and just move that up a little bit and match him up. Now, the right foot can be running 3 to 4 inches behind the left foot, that's fine. But if we move it any further back, we have problems getting in and out of positions, getting moving. Because if it's way back here, it's hard to run from. Okay, let's check his hips to his shoulders. Now he's running really square from his back to his hips. So if I push on him right now, he's going to go right over. So we're going to have him, you feel that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we're going to have you take and just lean the whole upper platform forward, kind of rolling on the hips.
Okay.
Okay, now breathe through your stomach. If we do upper chest breathing, we run into a major problem, which is, do that one time. Let's see what happens. What happens to your gun?
Right, the gun moves.
It'd move up and down, wouldn't it? Okay, so we're going to do lower abdominal breathing. So just relax, and we're going to keep the weight balance on the front of the feet, kind of about a 60-40 front to rear. Okay. Now the elbows, we don't want the elbows locked. If the elbows are locked, that transfers all of that energy straight into the shoulders. So we're going to unlock them and keep a positive forward stance going. Why don't you draw your gun and let's take a look at your grip. Okay, now first thing I'm going to check again is the stance to see if his structure is right. He's nice and solid. I can't hardly move him around. Another way to check, you like that?
Yeah.
Another way to test that stance is to just take and make sure you've got an unloaded firearm. It helps to have somebody else helping. But you take and action that slide on him and see if it moves him out of the way. Okay, so he's nice and solid there. Holster for a second. Okay, go ahead and draw this way, right here. Now, I'm going to take a look at his grip right here. Now, notice he's got this knuckle way below this area, so that arm is almost in a line. We're going to take and rotate this forward. Did you feel some pressure pop up?
Yes, I did.
Okay, the upper muscles on the arm are stronger, and it's more locked up when we do that. Go ahead and holster for a second. Okay, bring this arm up. If this hand is sitting in a position like this, where the arm is straight to that fist, and the gun goes off, you get a bone lock out of it. It doesn't allow us to work with or manage the recoil. So if we cam this forward, so we're actually taking and pushing pressure into that gun forward, now I can't move his hand. That's a lot stronger grip, a whole lot better. So go ahead and draw up into that grip, and let's just check it there. Okay, now if I took and put pressure into this thing, he's not going to move the gun around at all. So check it. Let's unlock the elbow slightly and breathe. One way to make sure you're getting a consistent grip is to take a marking pen and mark a couple of lines on it right where the thumbs contact, right here. Okay, holster. Now draw. Now, you'll see his lines match up, so he's hitting the grip every time. It's very important to have a consistent grip, because if you don't have a consistent grip, your recoil control is going to be all over the place. You'll never manage the recoil the same every shot. Okay? So, we're going to check that. We're nice and solid. Looking good. Go ahead and holster. Now, let's move on to covering a flinch. One of the major problems facing a shooter trying to learn to shoot faster is a flinch. And I know you used to have one.
Right.
I used to have one myself. So let's do a couple of drills to try to figure out a way for people watching this to work their way out of a flinch.
Okay.
So when you're training with somebody else, to figure out that you have a flinch in the first place, which is a subconscious reaction to the gun, it's either the noise is impacting your head or something's bothering you about the recoil, is you need to find out that you're having one first. Most likely, if you're not seeing your sights actually lift out of the notch or that dot lift, you have a flinch, because you have to see those sights lift in order to shoot fast. So we're going to bring your gun out. Go ahead and load and make ready. Okay? Aim your gun at the target. And now a flinch will show up in a couple of spots. It'll show up on the target with bad hits all over the target. And sometimes you'll just see if the gun has a malfunction, you'll actually see the whole gun just dive. You'll see the whole upper body on the shooter compress. The guy standing to the side here, where I'm standing, can actually tell if the person's flinching by watching their face, as long as the person watching them doesn't have a flinch too to the gunshot. So I'm going to be watching his eyes as he shoots just a couple of rounds here. Go ahead. Okay, now he's not blinking. That's what we're looking for primarily, is the first part of the flinch. So you don't have that, but let's take and put that gun up on the target. If you did have a flinch, the first thing we'd do, or I would do as an instructor, is have you aim the gun at the target, put your finger on the trigger, everything's all lined up, okay? Now close your eyes and go ahead and fire a shot and feel that shot as it goes through your body. It doesn't hurt, doesn't recoil, but the noise tends to bother us. One way to get over that is to double plug, put in earplugs and earmuffs. That helps out with that a lot, and it also saves your hearing. The other way to get over it is to bring the gun up, realize it's not going to hurt you, understand that, and force your eyes open. Keep your eyes forced open and try to see that recoil.
I know some people work at it with going back to a lower caliber pistol like a 22.
Yeah, some people, you can go to a 22 and learn to shoot a 22. It depends on what type of flinch it is. If you're scared of the recoil, that's one thing. If you're scared of the noise, it's a different subject. Because a 22 will fix both of those, but you need to know what your problem is. Okay? Understanding your problem is the key to your shooting.
Right.
So bring your gun up, and what we're going to do here is we're going to try to force the shooter through the flinch. By rapidly shooting at a close target in the correct stance, we're going to test his stance here. He's not moving around at all. By rapidly shooting at a very close target, you can't flinch as fast as you can shoot. You'll only flinch on the first couple of rounds. After a while, you'll end up actually seeing those sights and recoil. So just go ahead and rip off a string. Let's just see what happens here. Okay. When you're doing this, you're going to actually see the sights and recoil at some point, because you're not going to be blinking that fast or flinching that fast. All right?
Okay.
So go ahead and clear your gun. Okay. One of the things we don't want to do with the precision firearms like these 1911s, or this is an SVI from Kodiak Precision, 40 caliber wide body. This has an extremely light and delicate trigger. With those, we do not want to do the slap the slide shut, because the hammer and the sear run into each other, and after a while it'll wear the trigger action out. So we just take them, and when we clear them, we eject the round and just nice and slowly take it forward. Then hammer down and holster.
Okay.
Okay? That'll just extend the life of your trigger gun.
Good.
One of the things in the last video that we discussed was your holster and magazine positions. I want to make sure that you understand the importance of this. Without them in the proper position, it's going to bind up your reloads, bind up your draws. You're going to slow everything down. So we're just going to check these out real quick. Now, we're going to start on the magazines right here. When you have your angles of your magazines, go ahead and put your hand on the first magazine there, Kevin. See his angle on his wrist? When he pulls this out, it's not going to be in a line. So we're going to just take this mag pouch, bend it back so it's more angled. Go ahead and put it back on there. Does it feel more comfortable?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, when you pull that out for a reload, you put your whole arm into the gun instead of just doing this, flipping it up, bringing it back over. Now you'll notice that Kevin also has the bullets pointing up, which is the best way to go. If you've got these magazines backwards, you're ending up putting them in like this and you can't seat them properly. Just something to keep an eye on. Now as his arm moves around the side, you'll see these are angled to match that angle of the arm. Something really to watch for. If these were straight up in here, he'd have a real hard time getting to them. Okay, now on the gun position, a lot of shooters run the gun way back, and that's necessary in some sports like IDPA or in production class. You have to run it behind the hip bone. Well, in the IPSC shooting stuff, we get to move this wherever we want, so we're going to look for the most comfortable spot to put it where it matches up for either surrender draws or hands at sides. So go ahead and put your hand on that gun. What we're going to do is just figure out how to adjust it so it's more comfortable. Now, if we line this up here, we want to come from this front sight up to this elbow and have it actually in a line. So he'd actually want to be just kicked out a little bit because that way when he goes to draw the gun, lift the gun up, he'll lift it straight out of the holster and instead of getting any bind. The wrist angle here, we don't want this over exaggerated like this, because you'll see how that wrist angle won't help him pull that gun out of the holster at all. We don't want it rearward, because if he comes from a surrender position down, he's going to actually hit the beaver tail most likely and not get a grip established on the gun. So check that, move your gear around. That's why it's got all those options. All right, does everything feel pretty comfortable right now?
Great.
Okay, one important little thing when you're doing this is that you want to take and get a dry grip when you're in your shooting position. Now, you didn't move your weak hand when you did your dry grip. We'll have a tendency to just do dry grips like this, getting a dry grip on the range. Well, the problem with that is our whole body shifts a little bit. So we're going to take and move both hands whenever we're getting a dry grip and keep everything nice and solid. You'll see my head isn't moving at all. Okay, so go ahead and get a couple of dry grips for me. Okay, looking good. A little bonus tip for you guys that are watching the video is how your elbows affect your recoil control. If your elbows are angled up, the gun recoils differently than if they're angled at a 45-degree angle or straight down. So now we're going to have Kevin actually shoot some rounds with the elbows at a different position. So Kevin, go ahead and put your earmuffs on. Load and make ready. Okay. Now we're going to see his arm positioning here. Go ahead and aim at the target. Take your elbows and rotate them out like this. And now I want you to fire a shot. Okay. Now take your elbows, angle them down just a little bit. Fire another shot. A little bit more. Fire another shot. Okay. Go ahead and unload your gun. Okay. Let me see the clear. Clear. Slide down, hammer down, holster. Okay. Now, on this, what happened with the effects there? What was different? What did you like?
Well, when I was up here, I felt it come back more into my shoulders.
Comes more straight back into your shoulders? You know why?
No.
Well, when you're up here, your arm isn't allowing it to flex with the gun, so it's going to come straight into you. Okay, so, some people like to shoot like that. That's a preference for them. What did you feel when you're about here?
Well, you got a lot less recoil coming back into my body.
Okay. A lot less recoil there. What do you feel down here?
I just was uncomfortable because I'm not used to being down there. So,
okay. Did the muzzle flip more?
A bit, yes.
Okay. So what we're looking for is for your body positioning, because you got to modify this for your shooting. Try it out on the range with all the different positions. But for Kevin's body positioning, he liked just a natural spot, just a little below the horizontal level. All right. Looks like you shot a pretty nice group too. Cool.
Good teacher.
One of the most important things to shooting fast is your trigger control. We're going to start with finger placement and then discuss pinning the trigger, which is what I do. Some other shooters slap the trigger, which is a very valid technique. It's actually starting with your finger off the trigger and moving it straight to the rear and punching the trigger. A lot of shooters that are just starting out do that and not even knowing it. You'll see their finger flying in and off the trigger, but they're pushing the gun all over the place when they're doing it. So that's not the right way to go about it if you're not doing it right. You can't, if you're slapping the trigger properly, you can't move the gun around.
Okay.
Okay, when it goes, during the sight picture. Because if you move it in any direction, a little 1/16 of an inch will make a massive difference downrange. Okay, so we're going to check your trigger finger position first. So go ahead and draw your gun. Okay, go ahead and put your finger in the trigger guard. And now, if you get your finger in too far, what's going to happen is you're going to actually push the gun to the left, okay? Because you'll end up squeezing your whole hand.
Right.
If your trigger finger's in too shallow on the trigger, you're going to pull it to the right. So you want it centered up kind of on the pad right here. Okay, go ahead and put your thumb on your safety and take the safety off. I'm going to check the gun. We are clear. So now play with the pre-travel. There's 3 important parts to the trigger: the pre-travel, the brake, and the over-travel.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to learn those right now. Go ahead and play with that pre-travel. That's the part before the finger, or before it breaks. So feel that, and then prep up to the break. Pull the trigger. Okay, now now you're at over travel because you're touching the frame with the trigger.
Right.
And I keep holding it to the rear. And now reset it. And there's that click. That click is the reset of the trigger itself, so that the gun can fire again. So now play with the pre-travel again. And what you'll notice is if you tighten your hand up, try playing with that pre-travel. It's a lot harder, isn't it?
Right.
And the gun wants to move all over the place, so we really don't want to do that. We want to keep that hand nice and solid on the gun, but not clenched up.
Okay.
Okay? So now go ahead and click the trigger one more time. And holster. Holster. Okay, now we're going to load and make ready and put our earmuffs on.
Okay.
And we're going to shoot some rounds, pinning the trigger to the rear, and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Okay? Go ahead. Oops. Okay. Both hands up. Now, do you have your grip, your marks lined up?
Lined up.
Great. Now go ahead and put your finger inside the trigger guard. Now, it looks like you're actually contacting the frame here, so we're going to take and pull your finger away from the frame a little bit.
Okay.
If it's contacting the frame, you're going to add about 3/100ths of a second per shot.
Wow.
Because it's rubbing the gun. So you're not going to ever get as fast a split. Okay? So go ahead, keep it up. Play with that pre-travel. Prep up the shot. When you break the shot, hold the trigger to the rear.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. Go ahead and let the trigger go. Now play with the pre-travel a little bit. Don't fire the gun, just play with the pre-travel. So it's just wiggling that finger, prep the shot up, break it. Great. Now just let it go. It clicks. Play with the pre-travel. Let the shot go. Okay, go ahead and do a couple of more rounds, just playing with it and focusing on those sights. Looks great. Now this is the most accurate type of trigger control. Go ahead and bring the gun down. The most accurate type of trigger control, if you got a 50-yard target, this is what you're going to want to shoot, okay? So go ahead and clear your gun out. That looks like a really good group down there, by the way. Hammer down.
Thank you.
Holster. Great. Good job.
Thank you.
One of the things that really helps us out with fast shooting is learning to shoot with a good cadence versus, you'll see a lot of shooters out there shoot one split on a target, which the split is the time between rounds on the target, and the transition is the time between rounds between targets.
Okay.
So their target splits will be great, ba-bop, and then they'll have this long transitional time, ba-bop, a long transitional time, ba-bop. And they're only firing, they're really doing a hammer, not a controlled pair. A hammer is with one sight picture and two trigger pulls.
Okay.
So I can't figure out why their second shot's missing. I'm sure you've done it.
Absolutely.
I've done it before too. So we're going to actually watch you, we're going to load you up and see what you're doing and see if we can correct it and get some cadence in to smooth out those target transitions.
Okay.
Okay. Let's put our earmuffs on. Just draw and shoot the 3 targets.
One shot per target?
No, 2 shots per target. Okay, go ahead. All right, now, your first one was bonk, bonk, fairly controlled sounding, and then you had a really long pause for your transitions, and then a quick double, and then a quick double. So let's go with a smoothness, bonk, actually count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Like you're following a bouncing ball kind of thing.
Okay.
Go ahead, try it out. Let's see what happened with your gun. Oh, we had a primer failure. Let's load them up,
Not
do it
the
again.
first time that's happened.
Gun up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Better. But actually force yourself to slow your split down on the
Okay.
target and try to speed your transition up so they're all the same. Okay, go ahead. Okay, I think you're out of ammo. So go ahead and clear your gun out for me. I'm going to shoot them now and show you what it's supposed to sound like. This is primarily a learning exercise to speed people up on their actual transitions, or target transitions.
Okay.
Because they have such a tendency to focus so much on the split on the target, they screw up the transitions and they add
Right.
time. Target transitions, like an example of like the U.S. Nationals. There's 380 rounds of last year's Nationals. So you divide that in half for the number of targets. So, you know, let's rough it out with like 400 rounds. So it'd be 200 targets, 2 rounds on each. Well, there's 100 splits and 100 target transitions then. You know, you've got big chunks of time there.
Right.
If you add 1/10 of a second or 2/10 of a second per target transition, at the end of the match, you're 10 seconds behind
Right.
somebody else. You know, I mean, right off the bat, you know, you're really behind. So I'm going to load up now.
Load and make ready.
And we're just going to do a draw. Now, I'm going to try to keep everything nice and solid when I'm drawing because it's very critical when you're drawing. So. Just nice and smooth. You notice the transitions are pretty similar to the actual splits. Now, if I'm shooting this for real, now that I've developed my transitions, my personal transitions are pretty highly developed, I'm going to push this a little bit, and we're going to shoot some A's out here. But you notice there still isn't a huge difference between the two.
Right.
Okay? It's still pretty smooth. We're still looking at good hits.
Clear. Hammer down holster.
So, let's have you try it one more time here. Load and make ready. Now, gun up. Don't shoot yet.
Okay.
Make sure your stance is solid, okay? And go ahead and try it again.
I know.
I know. You got to do it right. There you go. Smooth it out. Excellent. That was much better. Okay. One more time. Nice and smooth. Now, your transitions probably are 3/10 faster than they were before because you were spending so much time on it.
Oh,
Okay? Good.
it's hard to.
It's
really hard to get through your head.
What do you think about that kind of a drill? Does it really
Yes.
help your shooting out?
Yes, absolutely, because everything seems to be a motion instead of like a jab.
Okay. Go ahead and gun up. Cool. Okay, go ahead and clear your gun.
Now to just give you an example of how much cadence can affect the speed of your shooting. We have Kevin Elpers here shooting the Arizona 400 a couple of months ago. As you can see, there's a big difference in his splits versus his transitions. Almost like the targets are significantly further apart than they are. On these kind of target arrays, the split sound should be exactly the same as your transitions. He's also pulling his magazines out with his left hand, and that definitely doesn't help speed you up. Next we have Blake McGez coming up, winner of the 2002 American Handgunner Championship. Just an incredible young talent.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
You almost can't tell the difference between the on-target splits and between-target splits. Maintains constant motion through the positions. Now we're going to take Blake and slow him down to 50% so we can get him down to human speed so we can all see it here. You see his head snap to that next port, looking for that target. He's looking the reload in. Then just smoothly transitioning through all the targets. Maintains the constant motion there with his feet, so he's getting himself to the next port fast. Looking the reloads in. Just great shooting. He's only 3 points down on this stage too.
one of the most important things about learning to shoot fast. One of the first steps after you've got your trigger control out of the way and everything else is you have to be able to call your shots. Okay? We fixed any flinch problems, so we've got to be able to make sure that we call those shots. Calling the shots is being able to see the sights lift on the target, and that exact point when those sights lift is where that bullet went. So if you don't know where that bullet went, how can you tell what you're hitting?
Right.
Okay? It's like, what's faster, light or sound?
Usually light.
It better be. You know, if you're not shooting with your eyes and you're shooting with your ears, you're automatically holding yourself back from the highest speed of shooting. This especially shows up when you're shooting at steel plates. You'll see people shoot steel plates and they'll bang and they'll wait for the ding and then move the gun. You've got to be able to call that shot, watch that sight lift, and move that gun. One of the best ways to learn how to do that is with my timing drills. Now, we talked about the timing drills in the last video set, but what we're going to do now is actually shoot them and have you give us feedback on what you think about them. Okay, so we're going to have you step up, load and make ready. Okay. Go ahead and holster. And on the first target, you're just going to do a nice, smooth, slow draw, and you're going to try for 2-second splits, pinning the trigger. So we want perfect trigger control.
Okay.
And on this one, I want you to actually see the sights lift by focusing on the front sight versus focusing on the target. Okay? Go ahead and draw your gun up on the target. Go ahead, 2-second splits, do about 6-8 rounds. Okay, now holster your gun for a second. Safety on. What did you feel as far as the gun? What was it doing? How was the sight moving?
It was pretty much just coming up and then dropping back.
It was coming straight up?
Right.
Okay. If your gun's coming up and to the right, decrease the pressure on your right hand, up into the left, decrease pressure on the left hand. That'll straighten the muzzle flip out. Now, how about calling the shot? Were you able to tell when that sight would do the jump?
I still am focusing on the target a bit too much.
Okay, so you're not actually shifting your focus back to that sight to be able to call that shot?
Right.
Okay, this time try and really focus on it. Let's see if you can tell me exactly how that bullet's getting out there.
Okay.
Okay. Safety on. What happened that time? Did you see anything different?
I'm getting there, but I'm still really target focused.
Okay, if you shift your visual focus back and forth, you actually play with the visual focus, it makes a major difference. So maybe when we actually dry fire, what we can do is when we're drawing, focus on the target, the exact spot we want the bullet to go, and then pull our eyes back to that front sight and get a good, clear sight picture.
Okay.
Okay. If the target's kind of blurry and the rear sight's kind of blurry, that means the front sight's in focus. That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Okay. And that'll help you learn to call those shots, especially when you got really small, tight shots. You have to call them. On close-up targets, it doesn't matter nearly as much. We've got to be able to see the gun inside the target or see the sights, hammer the target. But on the far stuff, you've got to be able to see that sight lift.
Okay.
That'll make it a lot faster. So let's speed that up a little bit. And I want that, notice your group on your second target's a whole lot better than your group on your first target.
Okay.
That visual shift and focus might have helped.
Okay.
Okay, so this time, let's work on a continuous sight picture instead of an individual sight picture.
Okay.
Okay, a continuous sight picture is actually seeing the sights lift, come back, lift, and come back. Whereas a single sight picture, you fire the gun and it just, oh, there it is again.
Okay.
So we want to see that constant repetition of that sight coming back into the target. We're going to speed the splits up just a little bit. Our goal is to return the gun to the exact same spot.
All right.
And that way our splits will be great at any distance. Because the gun's always returning to the same spot we're aiming at. Okay? Now try to get that good, clear front sight focused and see what happens. Focus, in fact, on the top of the front sight, dead center in the middle of it.
Okay.
As precise as you can. Go ahead. Now be working on a cadence.
Okay.
Now what might have looked like to the people viewing the video that he had a little bit of a flinch on that last round, that was actually timing the gun. That was the amount of energy it took to return that gun to the actual target. versus a flinch, which we wouldn't have that kind of group down there. Okay, go ahead. Load it up.
That would help.
Smooth. Watch that sight. Okay, now I notice you started climbing it vertically. You're
Right.
breaking the sight out of the notch when you're firing the shot. We've got to drive that gun back into the exact same spot. So just think about returning that sight to that same spot. Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm climbing.
You're letting that sight rise out of that notch, and you're breaking the shots as you're not letting it come all the way into the notch, forcing it into that notch. You've got to see the light on both sides of that blade in the notch. Wow. That time they were all right on top of each other, weren't they?
Right.
Okay. Go ahead and load up another magazine. Put it on the upper A zone, B zone of the head. Put it up right on top of the target there. And now, really smooth. Fire a shot. Pin it back. Okay. Load the gun. Get it up there. Fire a shot. Pin it back. Fire a shot. Keep going. And just speed that up, watching what's happening, watching that sight come back to the exact same spot. I don't think you'll be afraid of headshots ever again, will you?
No.
Okay, go ahead and clear your gun. Nice job. There we go. Holster. Timing is so critical on the gun. Learning the timing of the gun. You cannot shoot fast until you know how the gun recoils. It's a subconscious activity, okay? If even a new gun, when I go pick up a gun that I've never shot before, I have to retime myself to that gun.
Just because of the difference in the recoil of the gun?
Every gun recoils absolutely differently. They flip different, they have different torque. If you change your bullet weight, your powder, any of the combinations in the gun, it's going to recoil differently. You got to retime yourself to the gun. The spring weight makes a huge difference. One of the things a lot of people don't do is put in a lighter spring. They think the 18-pound factory spring is the best thing to go with.
Right.
Well, that's not. Go try out a 14 or a 12-pound spring in your gun, and you're going to be amazed at the difference you'll see in the recoil. And it'll be a lot easier to track, too.
Okay. With an open gun, with a dot, what's different, if any, on that sight picture?
Yeah, the sight picture on the open gun, you end up, you can do two things. Now, theoretically, you're not supposed to be able to focus on the dot, but you can, because it's focused on infinity. You're not supposed to, but you do. So you can actually focus entirely on the target or on the dot, or kind of have like a mix. Generally, the fastest way to shoot the dot from everybody I've talked to and worked with, and my own shooting, is a pure target focus on the exact spot you want the bullet to go, and you bring that dot to that spot. Okay, and then you'll see, you keep your eyes there, that dot will track up, and you'll see it lift and drive it right back to that same spot.
So you don't have as much as the transition back
That's
and
one of the things
forth.
that makes them faster, is because you don't bring your eyes back and forth. You're just looking where you want to shoot. That's the whole critical part. Always be looking where you want to shoot. The iron sights, on a hard shot, bring your eyes back to the sights. When you've got close stuff, you can actually look through the sights.
Right.
Okay? Any questions on that?
I think we got it.
Great. Thank you. In the last video set, we actually discussed the techniques of the draw, how to get the grip and everything else. We've got all your gear and equipment set up right. I'm going to show you one trick for improving your draw, because the draw is incredibly important. At a major championship, when you've got 10 stages, if your draw is a quarter second slower than it should be, you're already losing 2.5 seconds before you start that match. That can be several placements in the overall order of finish. I know the Nationals has been lost by just a couple of points. 2.5 seconds in a 10 hit factor match, 25 points.
Right.
That's a miss and a no shoot free before you start the match. So we're going to see if we can improve your draw just a little bit and push you. But first we're going to start out by walking over to this target here, and you're going to do draws and actually contact the surface of the target with your gun. So we're going to start out as a training aid, basically. Draw your gun for me and show me that you're clear. Okay, we're clear. Put your muzzle up on the target. Okay. Now, he's a little far away. Now, are you in your shooting stance? Your marks aren't lined up. There you
now.
go. Okay, now scoot your feet forward until you're just touching the surface, just rubbing it.
Okay.
Now holster, don't move anything. Okay, draw and touch the surface of the target. Yeah, you're a little far away. Now we got this move. This is moving around a little bit because we got a little bit of wind out here. But what you want to do is just draw, just brush the surface. This is forcing control over that last little part of the draw. Go ahead. Okay, so scoot forward about a ½ inch. Now, do you hear that thump?
Right.
We want to have that last 2-3 inches in there be the controlled area where the sights are coming into view. Now, you moved your back that time, so now the target's in a different spot.
I'm pulling attention back up in my shoulders as well.
Yeah, if your shoulders are coming up, if your head's dropping, everything's moving around, that's going to slow that draw up. So speed it up. Okay, now we got to hit that left hand too. That's the complicated action of the year, I think. Smooth. One of the things we want to make sure we're not doing while we're drawing, keep going, is that we're not fishing or scooping. Fishing is when that gun comes up and over the plane and drops down into it, like that. And then scooping is where we're coming up out of the holster, bringing the gun down, and then up to the target. We want to really avoid that. That just kills us on the time. So we're just going to work on this, driving that gun right into that target. Go ahead. Looking good. Just so we brush that surface of the target. All right, go ahead and holster. Now that your draw is smoothed out a little bit, we're actually going to do some live draws. A lot of people try and train their draws on a really hard target, like a 15-yard target, and what they end up doing is what we call a 50-yard draw. A 50-yard draw is like you're at the standards, on a standards event, really far targets, and they draw, beep, and then shoot. Do a 3-yard draw, but spend your time on the sights. This draw speed should always be the same. You know, you always got to speed that up.
Right.
You know, and I'm sure you've gone through it too.
I've gone through a lot of problems with draw.
What was your biggest problem you had?
Well, we've been through several. I've been through all phases of just scooping, reeling, and a lot of the hand placement. I still work. I get going too fast, and I get my hands not on the gun, and I start firing the gun when I'm not in position to fire the gun. Okay,
that's primarily a dry firing issue. You've got to do that in dry fire. You got to do your draws every night in dry fire or every day to practice them that you're getting everything correct. And you can set up your own video camera and test it and make sure you're doing it right. And that'll also show you if you're against like a wall with some lines on it. It'll also show you if you're moving forward or back when you're drawing, you know, or if you're crunching down. I've seen everything. Let me step up here. My favorite one is this. It's a total waste of time for doing everything. What we want to see is a nice, solid, smooth, nothing's moving from the head to chest. We're in a position right now where if Kevin came up and pushed on me, I would be solid already. I'm in the position I'm drawing from. So it's nice and smooth. Now I'm going to go hot.
Okay, go ahead and make ready.
Let's set up that timer. We're going to take the delay off here.
It's off.
Okay. Go ahead and let's do a couple of draws and see what we end up with for time. And you want to focus on the speed on the draw. In the presentation, you work the fine points on that other drill. Okay.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
Okay, what was the time on that?
0.70.
0.70. Let's see if we can speed that up a little bit. I want to push myself in training so I can get this faster and faster. I can always slow down in a competition.
Shooter ready. Stand by. 0.61. Shooter
That was
ready.
a C. I'm going to try to center this up a little bit better.
Shooter ready. Stand by. 0.66. Stand by.
Oh, missed the grip on that one. Sometimes you're pushing yourself, you're going to push a little too hard. So we're just going to smooth everything out now, and I'm going to do like 5 draws in a row that are just nice, clean, perfect draws.
Stand by. 0.71. Stand by. 0.75. Stand by. 0.72. Stand by. 0.71.
One more.
Stand by. 0.69.
Your turn. Let's see if we can speed up your draws a little bit.
Should be pretty easy to beat.
Go ahead and load and make ready. Now, start out when you're training focusing on smoothness and then build the speed up so you're safe about it, okay? Shooter ready. Stand by. Okay, now if you freeze up your position on your draw and have somebody else check it, you'll notice your grip's way out of whack. So you're not indexing that finger off that trigger guard and getting that thumb towards that target. Basically, if we take that left hand or the weak hand and point it towards the target, we're going to be much better off.
Okay.
Okay, do it again. Now that was a 103, so he's 0.3 of a second behind me on the draw here. Shooter ready. Stand by. 104, but you got your grip together and a much nicer shot. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Whoa, that was too quick.
A little high on the target there. Got on the trigger just a little early.
Right. I got on there before I had my grip established, trying to push.
Oh, you're trying to push the gun as it's breaking?
Right.
Try to get it so that it's at the point where you're pushing that gun into the target and you're seeing the sights or seeing the back of the gun coming into the close target. Okay? Nice and smooth. Relax. Shooter ready. Stand by. There, nice. Hey, you're under a second.
Cool.
Now, I want you to listen for the tone. Okay? In fact, let's do a little drill here. Take your gun, point it at the target. Take it out, draw it, aim it at the target. Both hands, full grip. Get your left hand into that grip. Are your lines lined up? There you go. Take your trigger and feel the pre-travel. When you hear the tone of the timer, fire the shot. Okay? Stand by. That's a 13 reaction time. That's awesome. We don't need to work on that at all. That's the reaction time we need to have when we're actually drawing the gun. That's great. Okay? Are you tired?
No, not yet.
Good. Do some more draws. Come on. Let's keep going here. We got you to a 99. We know we can do that faster. Nice and smooth and safe. Let's see it. Shooter ready. Stand by. 87. Okay? Shooter ready. Stand by. 93. That's about as fast as we're going to get you without some more dry fire practice. But one of the things we want to check, we're going to move just a little back here, just a little bit, and we're going to take and shoot this one and then that one and check your times, okay? So actually just line yourself up so the targets are right next to each other, right in this plane right here.
Okay.
And this is going to be a 2-shot drill, so you're going to be firing a shot and a shot. Bang, bang.
Okay.
Okay? We want a good shot on both of them. Shooter ready. Stand by.
I'm supposed to hit that one?
Yeah, you're supposed to hit the second one. What happened? You didn't have 2 sight pictures, did you?
No.
But if you don't have 2 sight pictures, you're not going to hit the second target. So when you're pushed yourself now. Now we pull ourselves back a little bit. See the first one, we have to use a more dramatic sight picture on the second one.
Right.
Because the first one, we just shoved the gun into the target pretty much, okay? On the second target, we have to actually visualize and see those sights breaking into that target. So we're going to move our eyes, draw, we fire on this one, snap them there. We see the sights, pick up the sights, break the shot.
Okay.
Okay? Shooter ready. Stand by. Okay. Holster up.
I'm getting that tension back in my shoulders.
You got that, well, you're all tensed up.
Yeah.
Your draw was a 119. Now that's 3/10 slower than when we were just drawing on this first target here. There's this psychological thing that happens when we do a draw on a close target to a far target. If we're just drawing and firing one shot, it can be really fast, but if we fire on a separate target or 2 shots or more, we'll slow that draw up for some reason.
Is that because you're pre-thinking where you need to be?
I think it has something to do with that. I'm not sure what it exactly is. It's just some weird phenomenon. So it's something to really work on, is develop that. So I'm gonna try a couple myself. Go ahead and unload and show clear for me there real quick, would you? Hammer down holster. I'm gonna see if I can, I'm gonna do a couple of draws, we'll check the times, and then I'll see if I can do it correct.
Okay. Shooter ready. Stand by. 0.70. Stand by. 6.9. Stand by. 7.4. Stand by. 7.3.
Okay, now I'm gonna shoot both targets. This one first and that one, and check that transition on there.
Okay. Stand by. It's a 7.2 and a 107.
107, okay.
Stand by. It's a 7.8 and a 111.
Okay, now there's a perfect example of the speed is the same. I mean, it's within a few hundredths of a second, but one was an A and one was a D.
Right.
The speed wasn't any different. So that's something to really keep an eye out for. Don't listen to the people. You've got to slow down to get your shots. Get more information from your sights.
So, to get faster, you have to push yourself in training.
You have to constantly push yourself. I mean, I don't know about anybody watching this, but if you like being stuck in D or C class, you know, go right ahead. My whole goal when I got out there was to go as fast as I can. I love winning. I like going fast. It's a lot more fun.
Right.
Besides, it looks cooler, you know. You got to enjoy yourself out here. That's what the whole point of the sport is to go out and have fun. You know, all the sports, that's why we do them.
Right.
What you want to do is take and start out smooth, slow, and push it. Don't go to the unsafe zone of actually, you know, shooting around into the ground or something like that. You know, if you ever have that problem, it means you're A, getting the safety off the gun too early, and B, getting your finger in the trigger guard too early. So you got to watch out for those things. But if you don't push your limits, you know, push yourself out of your comfort limits, you'll never get faster.
But to prevent those kind of problems, you don't want to start the day pushing.
And don't start at
100%.
100%. Start at 60. Work the smoothness. Work perfect draws. Slow, you know, pick them up, and then push yourself to where you're not comfortable anymore.
I find when I do that, as I start picking up, getting faster, I get tired. At that point, do I pull back and go slow and then pick back up? Is there any advantage to working that transition?
Actually, what I like to do is speed everything up, pull it back. Speed it up and pull it back. And hopefully what happens is my comfort zones are pushed up, you know, as far as my limitations go. I'm constantly stepping it up.
Right.
And then when I go to a match, I don't do the 110%. I'll pull back to 90% and shoot the match that way. And it seems like it's in slow motion. Because your perception of speed has nothing to do with reality. What you feel you're shooting, nothing to do with reality. When you're shooting these targets, you know, like I'm shooting a 68 feels the same as a 75 to me, or an 85 or whatever. And a 68 on one might feel really slow because I'm really paying attention to it. And on the next one, it might feel really fast because I was feeling rushed and jumping on it.
You know, I've been in matches where I've got myself going too fast. I'm at that above 100% if that's possible, and just being all over the place.
Yeah, if your hits are hitting all over the target, you're not seeing the information needed to fire that shot.
Right.
You need to, and the difference is funny because if you're shooting a D versus an A, it's probably 1/100th of a second to actually angle the gun properly for it. We feel it's longer, but you're just pointing the gun in the wrong spot. I mean, the distance on the gun itself is, you know, minimal. Just, you know, DA is this. So you're just not seeing what you need to see to make that shot.
Sometimes it just feels so slow.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that's one of the problems with good shooting. It just drives people nuts that are starting to learn how to shoot well and break through those limitations, is that when you actually hook up and do your job, good shooting is boring. It's ironic. It really is, because when you're out there and everything goes right and you don't do any extra work at all, what happens is there's nothing to get excited about. You're just doing your job. And that's when you're doing the best job there is.
You're repeating practice.
Right, you're doing everything perfectly.
Right.
So there's nothing to get amped up about. You know, I mean, you get excited in your local matches, I'm sure.
I get excited all the time.
Now, why do you get excited in a match?
It's just going from practice to match. You feel like you have to force yourself up to another level. And
That's the exact opposite of what should be happening.
right.
You know, especially, you go to a match, you're testing what you've proved in practice. You know, I can do 70-something draws on that consistently every time. That's what I'm going to go for in a match, not my 60.
Right.
Okay?
And I know when you move into a match, the better the match,
The more pressure you
the
feel?
more pressure you put on yourself. And a lot of times, in my case, the worse I do, because I'm up against better shooters and I see what they're doing and I try to force myself out of my own comfort zone versus maybe a club match.
Right, and what's really funny about it is when you're out there on the line, does it matter? No, the target's the same one you shot in practice for the last how many years?
But that's hard when you come out to Phoenix and shoot against all the grandmasters.
Well, I mean, we go to a match when we're in competition, we step up to the line and we think, oh, there's a whole bunch of people back there watching me. Well, who cares? It doesn't matter who's watching you.
Right.
The only person that puts pressure on you is you.
And every time you add the pressure, you add mistakes.
No, when there's pressure there, what are you not focusing on?
Your job at hand.
Exactly. That means you're paying attention to things that are inconsequential to your shooting. I mean, all you've got to do is draw and shoot that target in front of you. And yet, we will make it really hard by worrying about everything that has nothing to do with that job.
Right.
Match results. So-and-so is at the match. There's somebody, my wife, girlfriend, whatever's watching. I want to impress somebody. I don't want to walk back to the squad and have them all going, ooh, sorry to see that one. That didn't go so well. You don't want to have those kind of problems. So
Right.
But you can't even think about those things. Focus on your job. Do your job. Go up there, hit the draw. Hit this, and a draw will set you up for the rest of the stage normally.
Right.
A good, smooth, perfect, clean draw every time when you go up to a stage makes the rest of the stage surprisingly smooth.
If you don't get your hands on the gun right at the beginning, you're out of luck the whole rest of the stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or you have to do a readjustment.
Right.
So it's something that's extremely important to fast shooting. Make sure you've got your draw worked out, work it at different distances, and make sure with the camera that you're not running into the problem of doing a 50-yard draw on a 5-yard target. So you're just, moving it slow, or on a 15-yard target, doing a 50-yard draw, moving really slow and taking your time on that. Do the same draw, just spend your time on the sights.
Let's unload and show clear.
Okay.
Clear. Holster.
A lot of the times we'll have a target arrangement where we have one at like 7 yards, a couple at 10 yards. Now, when you got this kind of setup with just 3 targets left to right, how are you going to shoot that?
I generally start on the left-hand side and work my way across.
Work your way across. What you lose there is the benefit of the draw on the close target. And it's kind of target math, and it's kind of complicated to get into for a video, but your draw on the close targets are going to offset the transitional time between the back targets. Okay? So if we draw on the close one in an 80 or a 1 second, it's versus a 1.3 out of 10, that's going to offset the 500th lost on the transition, because the transitions are going to be pretty close to the same, but the draw is a big chunk of time.
Because my draw is going to slow down if I draw to the further target.
Right, to get the good hit.
Right.
Right. So we can actually test it both ways. So let's have you load and make ready. And now you got to shoot 6 A's.
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to have you just shoot it left to right one time, check your time, then we're going to have you shoot it right, or center, left, right. Are you ready? Stand by. Okay, that was a 316, and his first shot was a 128. Okay, the battery's going a little dead here, but we're going to try to finish this up. And you had a 41, a 46, 27, and a 50. Now just try to run on this one and shoot that one and then that one. Okay?
Okay.
Shooter ready. Stand by. You didn't pick up a lot, but you picked up a 1/10 of a second. You were a straight 1/10 of a second faster, and you also looks like you have better hits.
Okay.
You were at a 304, so you're already a little faster just by changing the way you shot it. You didn't try to shoot one better than the other or anything.
No.
And that's something when you're looking at a stage, you want to make sure that you're drawing on the right kind of target. If you got a close target, get the draw going on that. Now, one of the problems you can run into if you do draw on the close target is you might shoot the far targets at the same speed. Or you draw on the far target, you might shoot the close target at the same speed as far as the split on the target.
And I think that's what I was doing because my target back there is not as good as the one on the other side.
Right, you're dunk, dunk, and then you shoot the close one at the same speed, you're getting caught in the target trap. Okay? So the split on the target needs to be appropriate to the target at the distance you're working at. So this target here is going to have a lot faster split than the one back there.
Okay.
Okay? So, you know, let me shoot it here. I'm going to load and make ready.
Load and make ready.
And I'm gonna do this close and then far targets. And I'm gonna shoot all A's on this thing.
Shooter ready. Stand by. .242.
Now, if you heard the cadence difference, the first split was really fast. Those were just a little slower.
Right.
And that's I mean, I put the bullets side by side pretty much, but that's what's necessary to hit good shots on those back ones.
Stand by. .227.
Okay. Now, if I'm training to practice to push this, I'm going to take and I'm going to hit that one and I'm going to drive the gun to that second target and see what I can come up with as far as a split.
Okay. Stand by. 190.
That brings up an interesting point. That's 3 targets with 2 rounds on each. So that's like the old bill drill we used to do at 7 yards. It was 6 rounds on 1 target. You know, all A's. Under 2 seconds used to be the master class time for that. Now it's around 1.5 seconds for grandmaster time.
Wow.
Yeah, so really, the limitations really moved out. So that gives you something to shoot for when you're out there. But you can see, push the targets, you know, push the transitions and stuff on the easy ones. When you're coming to a close one, slam the gun to it. You go into a far one, ease the gun into it, shoot the good shot. Shoot what the target needs to shoot.
Okay.
Now, if you have access to plate racks, like the ones we have behind us, get them out on the range and shoot the heck out of them. You're going to be able to practice your draws, your transitions, you can practice movement, you can check your reloads. We're going to be doing all of this for you right now. And we're going to have Kevin start out on the plate rack here. So Kevin, turn around, load and make ready. With all the options on the plate racks, it's pretty neat because we're going to have him just start out with a draw, and then we'll have him practice transitions. So go ahead and we're going to do a draw. Shooter ready. Stand by. Okay. Holster. Now you hit that plate kind of low. When you're aiming at the plate rack, generally on the plates, especially with iron sights, you want to aim higher than center.
Okay.
Just as your basic aiming point. Most of them are 10 to 12 yards, so your bullet's going to be impacting right where the front sight is. So aim a little higher than center, and it'll generally keep you away from hitting the rack a lot.
Okay.
Okay? So now, do it again. Shoot ready. Stand by.
How's
Okay. Let's try it again. Come on. Working the plate racks will really help you actually nail down your draw. It takes some time though. Shooter ready. Stand by. Nice. Now one thing you might notice Kevin also did there was he had a lot of follow through at the end. What does that tell you from the follow through? What do you get from that?
Well, you stay on target. You don't be dropping the gun back down in a hurry. You don't get in a hurry to drop the gun, especially when you get to the last target.
Right, absolutely. And what it also does is confirms your shot. And if you messed the shot up, you can take another one right then.
Instead of
Right.
coming back up to take it.
And you'll end up poking at it. And I've watched people fire 4 or 5 rounds at it and miss every one of them going, come on, fall down, fall down. We want to avoid that. So anytime you shoot a plate rack or you're doing your draws, make sure you leave the gun up for a few seconds afterwards and then holster it. It makes it a lot smoother. You'll also find out when you go to a stage, it's going to be a lot better. So go ahead. Now we're going to do 2 plates. So ding, ding. So we're going to actually do the draw and the transitions. Shooter ready. Stand by. Okay. Now you got to cut the plate and the rack on that one. Do them again. Shooter ready. Stand by. Now you're hitting a little low, so bring that gun up on those plates. Okay? Aim them a little higher. Shooter ready. Stand by. Nice. Okay, your draw on that was a 154. Go ahead and clear out for me. We're going to have you run me for a couple of draws. Clear, hammer, holster, step on back. Okay, I need these. There we go. Here's the timer.
Stand by.
What was the time on that?
117. Shooter
See.
ready? Stand by. 1 minute. 1 second.
What was it?
1 second.
1 second.
Shooter ready? Stand by.
What was that?
8-8.
An 88. So we've had a consistent improvement on the last 3 plates as far as the speed. So you keep pushing it until you start missing and then pull back a little bit. Sometimes you got to shoot, you got to miss a little bit in order to improve, to push that speed up.
Stand by.
Well, like that. Hit the rack a little low that time, so I didn't bring the gun all the way into that target.
Stand by. 8-3.
An 8-3. Okay, now I'm going to shoot these 2 last plates with the transition like Kevin was doing.
Stand by.
And you can miss them both too, and you're not looking for what you need to see.
Stand by.
Can we have the plate stood back up, please?
Stand by. .246.
What was the time?
246.
246. Let me unload and clear out. Working those transitions across the entire rack's a great thing to do. Another thing you can do that'll really help you out is working strong hand and weak hand on the rack. When you're shooting strong hand on the rack, practice most of your strong hand coming in on your body and your weak hand coming in this way. And why would you do that?
Just your control.
You're
Getting weaker as you get out here.
Well, not only that, if you hand me this clock, put your left arm out, okay? Push against my hand. Not a lot of strength, is there?
Right.
Pull against my arm.
Right.
That's how our body's built. So we're going to actually use that with, with our muscle strength to help control the recoil on the gun. Okay, now we're going to take and do some movement. Going to be going from box A here to box B. And it's a nice thing to be able to practice this because you can go 2 shots here, 2 shots there. You can come back and forth and really get some good movement work in. Go ahead. Load and make ready.
Well, let's seat it.
Full one. Holster. So you're going to draw, fire 2 shots, move to that box, and 2 shots. Hopefully with all hits.
Okay.
Okay? Shooter ready. Stand by. Okay, his total time was a 5:21. And what was your time between shots, or between boxes? Was 2:75. Go ahead and holster. Go ahead and holster. Now we're going to, one of the things to check is make sure you check your lateral movement the other direction. Don't always do what favors you, left to right movement. Check it right to left, and then also make sure you're safe keeping that muzzle downrange in the center of the berm or aiming at the targets. You knock down 2, move to the other box, knock down 2. Shooter ready. Stand by. Okay, go ahead and unload and show clear. Hammer down the holster. You didn't really have your gun up and on the target when you came into this position, did you?
Right.
Okay, that'll cost you about a 1/4 or 3/10 of a second, right by itself.
So I had to settle in and come back up.
Yeah, well, if you're stepping into the box and bringing the gun up, that's lost time. Have that gun up, and once you realize you can hit the box correctly, have it on the target and be looking at it so that when you're hitting, if possible, be shooting even when this foot's off the ground. Now, moving to the left as a little reminder, right foot into the box. Moving to the right, left foot into the box.
Okay.
Good rule of thumb to work with. It's not always exactly what you want to do, but that's pretty much what we work with. So I'm gonna run it now. Your time that direction was a 2:55, so you're actually faster right to left.
Okay. Load and make ready. Shooter ready. Stand by. .420. Let me check that split on there. Okay, I was at 2:16 between boxes, so I'm picking up 4/10 of a second left to right on you, just in that one movement. Shooter ready. Stand by. .374.
Didn't have the extra shot. Okay, now the movement on that one was a 2:12. So right there I picked up 4/10 off of your left to right move. That's significant. You have 3-4 positions in a stage, and you're going to really run into some problems. I mean, 3-4 positions,
They add up.
that puts me a couple of seconds ahead real quick. Just that spot. That's not the shooting.
Right.
So that's something to remember. Now we got to watch out for moving and reloading also. So we time ourselves shooting this position, doing a load and moving, versus no load, and try to get them as close together as we can.
Okay.
Okay, so let's check that. Load, make ready. Are you ready? Stand by.
Am I supposed to hit these plates?
Yeah, you are. Go ahead and unload and clear out. That's why it's called practice. We can do that here. Holster your gun. One of the things that caused a problem for you when you were moving into this box, you were standing up.
Okay.
So as you shot the first one and you're standing up, you're changing the relationship of that plate to your sights. You want to come in, hold this for me, I'm going to do it dry. You want to come in, the gun comes up, you hit this position, you shoot the two plates. You don't want to do this. Changing that relationship to that target with that sight will definitely and drastically affect your shooting.
Not only that, you just had the time difference to raise.
It's also slower.
Right.
Okay. Now let's see what your time was. If we can. Okay, your time between the boxes was a 3:01, so you're losing over a half a second doing a reload.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got to get that time down. Work that in practice until you can get it down to almost nothing. Let me try it out and see what I can get that down to.
Load and make ready.
Let's see, we need 2 shots. There we go. One of the other key points to reloading on the move is get the reload done as soon as you get going. You know, as soon as possible. You don't want to start the reload, Kevin. You started the load like when you're halfway between the boxes. That adds time, and if you mess the load up a bit, you're still doing it in the box over there. Give yourself time to get that thing done.
Okay. Shooter ready. Stand by. .385.
So for me, that was actually the same time without the extra shot on the first run. 385, 110 draw, 215. So I'm running the same with or without the reload.
Okay.
That's the goal,
Okay.
because that wipes out that whole amount of time right there.
Right.
Okay? Now, what questions do you have on training on something like this?
Well, I think it's all a lot of matter of timing and coordination, you know, to run and load and hit the box, and it's practice, and this is a great way to do it.
Well, it gives you a lot of options to very easily practice something and have it set back up again instantly, so you continually practice versus running down, pasting something, trying
Right.
to see your hits. You know, you can keep working. Now, do you have any questions about what we went over today?
Well, we've had a lot of information, Matt. I'm trying to take it all in is a lot of work, but I've learned a lot today, and I really appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you out here again.
Well, I appreciate you coming out for the video.
All right.
Thanks,
you.
Kevin. Covering how to shoot fast. We're going to start out with a grip and stance review and make sure that your flinch is, you know, well gone. So let's get back out to the range and another scene. Welcome to Practical Shooting Video Volume 4. Hi, I'm Matt Burkett, and this is Kevin Elpers. He'll be our student for the tape. We're going to be covering a grip and stance review just to make sure you've got everything right before you get to the range. So let's get to that. Did I even say what the video was? Welcome to Practical Shooting Video Volume 4, Learning How to Shoot Faster. Hi, I'm Matt Burkett, and this is Kevin Elpers. We're going to take and fix up all your problems on the range and make you shoot faster and this shot up again. God. We're going to be lined up, so our shoulders are going to be about 1 inch in front of them, just angled forward slightly. Okay, he's not relaxed. And let's keep rolling. Bring that camera down. Bring it down. We'll just go to position 1. Hands
What
down.
do you want me to do?
We got to
bad?
redo it. Yeah, you got to do it bad first, so I can
Alright.
fix this up.
That's
Also,
what I'm trying
just
to do.
hands down. Okay, and I'm going to cycle the gun. Now, release it slowly, and there's that click.
Right.
Your finger was so close to the click before, that's why it actually clicked down.
Okay.
So now play with the pre-travel.
Sorry, man, I'm getting silly.
Bring the jib up, would you?
Oh, we're going from scratch? We can't pick it up there?
Can't pick it up there.
The first time you let me slack, the second time you didn't.
Are my teeth clean?
Where's our X?
We're going to be talking to the camera's here what we're dealing
Okay.
with. We're not even concerned with that one. We're just going to be... Oh, great. That shows my gut really well. Oh, keep it. Okay.
Presentation level. You're
Okay.
more kind of like whispering to me.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how that's coming across there, but
Yeah, because I'm trying to talk to you, not the cameras.
right.
How am I on audio here? Are we doing okay? Nice and clean?
And I don't know how that comes through. Maybe the whisper comes through fine.
Okay. All right, let's get started.
Where are we starting? Where are we going to? Which camera?
We're going on this one. One of the most important things to get started with fast shooting, to shoot faster, is your trigger control. Now on your trigger control, everything affects it from your finger placement to the type of trigger control you use, pinning or slapping the trigger. So we're going to start out with your trigger control as far as your placement of the finger.
Jesus Christ.
Blah, 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 blah.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
Standing back up. Tired. Come on, you pull it together.
Shooter's ready. Stand by.
Good, keep those cameras going.
Shooter's ready. Stand by.
You don't be sorry, my fault.
Oh, no, I hit the
Oh,
Shooter's ready. Stand by. Shooter's ready. Stand by. Shooter's ready. Stand by.
clear. Okay, ready? Now we got a couple of plate racks behind us. If you got access to plate racks, make sure that you do everything you can to practice that.
If you have access.
Yeah. You got access?
You got access?
You got access?
You sound like a Kentuckian.
Ready? Let's see, to shoot the rack itself. Are you ready? Stand by. Nice hit. That's what we're looking for. Now, holster up for a second. You'll notice one of the things Kevin did was why did he go to the rack? I was talking to camera too. Look right here.
Good, you missed my miss.